Hey friends, it's Kari from the Alfred Homestead. You'll have to pardon my voice. We are just getting over a cold, so I'm still a little congested. But I really wanted to share with you guys not one, but two big failures we had on the homestead this past week. So both have to do with our rabbits. This brown and white doe that we got, because initially the doe that we thought was a doe was actually a buck. We were expecting a litter from her any day, and once 34 days post breeding came, we realized she had not been successfully bred. No kits. She acted like she was nesting and like she was going to give birth, but she never did. So that is an entire month wasted. We should have had a whole litter, and that's an entire month of food in our freezer that won't be there anymore. So we're going to have to try and breed her one more time. But if she doesn't get successfully bred, we're probably going to have to put her in the freezer. You guys know if you have animals on the homestead, if they're not doing anything for you, they have to go. All right, this isn't a hobby farm. We're actually trying to produce here. So the next fail. This doe here is a doe that was born on our property 16 weeks ago. We kept her from the last litter to go ahead and try and keep her for breeding purposes. However, we unfortunately made the mistake of not socializing her enough. My husband had a time trying to get her out of her cage. You guys, we really needed to hold them every day, especially while they're still kits and while they're still young, to get used to you and trust you. We kind of took it for granted because with the chickens, we see them every day. They're so used to us, but the rabbits are in their cages, so they're not being held every day. And honestly, it's just kind of a chore. It's another chore that we have to take care of. That's not always practical to do every day. Nonetheless, it's necessary because now look at this. My husband's got gloves on and everything because, guys, those nails are sharp. And this wouldn't have been an issue if we had just socialized her a little bit more. So, our hope is that this female, this was her first time trying to be bred with our proven buck. So, we put her into his cage to go ahead and try and breed. So they did go ahead, and it looked initially that he did have a successful breed. Normally, you want to leave them in the cage for about 15 or 20 minutes to go at it 2 or 3 times. You don't necessarily just want them to go at it once. You want to make sure you get a couple of chances in there just in case the first one didn't take. Well, so he got one good round in, and I turned the camera off after this, and we were just sitting there waiting. You always want to stand by. You don't want to just leave them for those 15 or 20 minutes because you don't know what will happen or what will ensue if they get into a fight, for instance, which is exactly what happened here. Unfortunately, we heard a yelp. Our buck yelped, and it was the saddest sound we had ever heard. We immediately got up from our chairs and ran to get her out of there. And turns out she bit our buck's hind leg. And you can see some of the blood. That's not her blood, that was the buck's blood. And his left hind foot got bit from her. So that is a very, very bad sign. This was our best buck, and it was absolutely shocking to see that she went ahead and bit him. And this is a really bad sign. We're not going to be able to keep her, probably. We're going to wait and see if she did successfully breed. And, if it's a good litter, like if she has 10 kids, for instance, then we might keep her. We're going to have to really work on her, though, because her showing dominance to this male is a bad, bad plan. Um, I actually get a glimpse of his poor little foot. And he will be okay. He's gonna have to nurse his foot a little bit, but he'll be fine. It's just that show of dominance that is worrisome. And his poor foot, you can see he's getting some blood on that little piece of wood my husband put on there for him just to help his foot out. So in any case, we're going to wait 30 days or so and see if she did get successfully bred and see how her litter does. If we are not impressed with her litter, or if she doesn't even successfully get bred, then unfortunately we're going to have to go ahead and harvest her and put her in the freezer instead. So part of this was our fault. We did not socialize her from the very beginning like we should have, so it made her more aggressive and defensive. So my new plan is to make it more of a priority for us that once those kids are born, that we try and handle them, if not on a daily basis, then at least an every other day basis. That way they're not so defensive and aggressive when it comes to breeding. So these are the youngest kids that we have right now. They're in the grow out cage because these guys will be harvested. However, we will keep a female if it turns out that that other female is just a no-go for us. I'm positive at least one of these are a female, so we will have to swap them and not harvest one of these females to be able to use for breeding purposes later. So I'm going to try and start handling these guys every day or at least more frequently. And most of the time you want to go ahead and be very careful. Even when they're this young, their nails are razor sharp. And I actually didn't even have my gloves on. It was just like a spur of the moment, let me just get this out of the way kind of scenario. And she was totally fine. I believe it was a doe, the doe that I had in my hands at this time, and it was fine. But once the camera was off, I went ahead and tried another guy, and there's a patch on his back, and I know this guy does not like to be handled at all. I could not handle him. So I'm gonna have to try and work on that. I probably won't be keeping the one with the patch on his back that did not let me hold him, but one of these might end up being the replacement for that other doe. So I just wanted to share this with you guys because failures are such a big part of homesteading and we have to learn from them. We have to grow, and it can be hard to see other YouTubers having all these successes and never showing any of their failures. And I just wanted to show you guys, like, for every one step forward we make, it's like we take a step back. It's a learning curve, and that's just part of homesteading. And I just wanted to share that aspect of it with you guys. We are constantly learning and growing from these mistakes. You have to. That's just the deal. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. We'll see you guys next time.